You are watching What's Up Punta Cana with Kristi Maggio, una americana italiana en la República Dominicana since 2013. A teacher at heart, but her curiosity has sparked new opportunities. Director, businesswoman, humanitarian, talk show host. La curiosa directora has decided to become the student. Go behind the scenes to get a closer look at what this country is all about. And Cher is here with you. So, if you love everything Dominicana, stay tuned. This is What's Up Punta Cana with Kristi Maggio.
Hello, I'd like to welcome everyone today to What's Up Punta Cana with Kristi Maggio, and I am here today to hopefully give everybody a little bit of hope and confidence and insight on how to rework and rethink what it is and your expectations of life. And I'm here today with a wonderful person is Sheena Cantar. She is a high performance mindset mentor. She's partnered with Bob Proctor. For anybody that knows, Bob Proctor is synonymous with success, and he has been working in this area long before he had come into many know him as being a part of the Secret and the Law of Attraction. She is also a speaker, author, consultant, coach, and mentor, and works with businesses and individuals, instilling with them not only mental foundations of success and motivation to achieve, but also the actionable strategies that will empower them to grow, improve, and thrive in today's ever-changing world. And she's also a Gallup certified strengths consultant and inspires people every day to be more, do more, have more, so you can give more. So I'd like to welcome you, Sheena. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for allowing me to have this opportunity to interview you.
It's a pleasure, an absolute privilege to be here. Thank you very much, Kristi. That was a very long introduction. I just gone, wow, it's when you get to 51. Wow, yeah. there's a bit more to tell, isn't there?
Yeah, but that is incredible. It is an incredible resume that you have, and what you do and how you bring people the ability to completely change their lives. So tell us a little bit from the beginning, like, how is it that you got into this? What brought you to The Secret, the Law of Attraction, the power of your thoughts? How did you get there? What made you move that way?
Well, I guess about 10 years ago, I mean, whenever my marriage split up, and I just went on this journey of self-recognition, you know, when I could go out for walks for 2 hours and then think, oh, I don't have to go back home. And then I think, oh, no, yes, I do. I need food and water, so I need to go back home. But I had started to read and read and read, and I couldn't get enough of the information. So, you know, like 10 years later, you've got 700 books, you've got all these different qualifications. You know, I studied to, you know, Reiki, NLP, hypnotherapy, coaching, and just never mind the business stuff. So when I left corporate about 5 years ago, it was actually because of Gallup, and I did my strengths, and I suddenly went to number one in the company in my role, and I thought, wow, everybody needs to know this. I'm going to become a Gallup certified strength consultant. So off I did, and people do, whenever you do strengths, my goodness, it just, for the first time, it was okay to be Sheena. Mm-hmm. Now, isn't that the one thing, isn't it, Kristi, that we just think it's not okay to be us? And that was the first realization of my journey. But then what did I do when I left work? I worked so hard. I got even more qualifications. So here's what we were told, wasn't it? Work hard, get more qualifications, and you'll have money. Get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You'll be like so successful. But oh no, what did I do that way? I literally hit the deck 2 years ago. So I lost everything. House, car, my dogs went one way, my cats went the other, my horses went the other. Luckily, my children, I mean, they're now 21 and 27, so they were of an age a couple of years ago that it wasn't such a big, like I wasn't like separating my children everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But that obviously took a heck of a toll, and I just didn't understand me. Why did I work so hard and not have any results? And I'm sure that there's listeners listening to this, Kristi, that understand that. So I turned to Bob Proctor. And what I learned over the last, 18 months is just to sit back, relax, and listen to myself. Now, we have to clear away a lot of rubbish, first of all, and that's what the work with Bob Proctor does. Actually, it just clears away that rubbish, and then you start to rise. It's like a cork in the water, if you're holding it down,
Mm-hmm.
and then you literally clear the rubbish away from it. Well, it's just going to rise, isn't it? And that's what happens, and things just start to get easier and easier and easier, and you look back and you go, oh, I need to tell people about this. Just need to tell people, take it easy. What
was it then? I mean, I'm sure it was over a period of time, but what was it that what was the first step? What was the first rule, for example, that he said to you, or that you learned that made that flip? Because I think a lot of people are like, okay, and I'm one included at this moment, is, you are busy, and a lot of people equate being busy to being successful.
Mm.
However, what was it that said, okay, that got you over that to start being into where you are now?
I love, just to start everybody off right now on something that can help them right now,
Mm-hmm.
is actually I call it 4 steps. Bob does it with 3 steps, and it was something that Michael Beckwith talks about as well. And it's about any situation in your life, it is what it is. I mean, can you feel the releasing just of that as well? Like the law of polarity is, we've got positive and negative. And we're that busy trying to run away from the negative so we can be positive. But here's the thing, as a Gallup, my strengths are I'm positivity number 1. So I spent most of my time in the positivity, running away from the negativity. But we need the negative to be a catalyst to get us to move. Otherwise, we wouldn't do anything if everything was just so wonderful all the time, isn't it? But here's the thing, there's a balance in the middle. And so I could say about this lip balm and go, oh my goodness, look at this lip balm. It's beautiful. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. But you feel the sort of like the force of energy. Even though I love it, I'm still using a bit of force there. Or I could go, oh, I hate this. Again, there's a bit of force. But what if I just look at it and go, it's a lip balm. It just is. I have no perception, no judgment. Do you feel the release in that, Kristi? Like, it's like, I'm just Sheena. Nothing good nor bad about it. I just am me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you can feel that yourself.
Yeah, I think one of the things is that when you say that, and some of the things that I've been listening to and hearing, is that you kind of, there is nobody else like you. You are you, and I think one of the things that a lot of people try and do, and someone had presented it to me before, is it that do you truly want to do this, or is it your ego that wants to do this? And it really made me think differently about what it is, because everybody wants that image, and everybody wants what they think is success or happiness or whatever it is it may be. But yeah, like just saying that I am me.
I just am. I'm just Kristi.
Right.
I'm just Sheena. You see, that's the thing. You touched on something there, and that's like, I'm not the me I think I am. I'm not the me you think I am. I am the me I think you think I am.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all totally confused, because we actually, if you say that fast, nobody has a clue what you mean then. And then you go, well, actually, who am I? Exactly. And if it's got to be me. So I better know who me is.
Right.
So we are who we are as a mother, we are who we are as a girlfriend, we are who we are as a business person, or who we want to show to the world, you know. And when you just release those ideas because you're trying to be what somebody else wants you to be, rather than being just me and not caring what anybody else thinks, then I'm in my true power. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So the second one then would be harvest the good. What's good about this? What's good about where I am?
Mm-hmm.
If everything's perfect, and isn't everything good? Everything's life. Everything is energy. And so energy is life, and life is for fuller expansion and growth, which means, oh, everything that is happening is for my good. Wow. So harvest the good. Forgive the rest is the next step. Forgive it. Let it go.
Back 1 second before we get to the forgiveness part.
Yeah.
Harvest the good. How do you harvest the good? Just
Everything. Well, if everything is for your own good. So here's a story of me falling 2 days ago, and I literally, oh, Kristi, it was so funny. I must have been something like the sound of music coming through the field, because I've been asking just to let go, and I could really feel of the letting go of a certain thing, and I felt like I just wanted the full power of the universe to work its way through me, and I felt this absolute blast. And I'm running through the field, and I'm listening to The Greatest Showman, singing away. I literally must have been like the sound of music, you know. And then I run into this forest, and there's all these, the roots are everywhere, and I hit the deck like that. I mean, like at speed, and smacked my face on the ground, and dizziness, like. But the one thing is that, when my head hit the ground, was just like, oh, well, I didn't go unconscious. I mean, then I thought I'd lost my teeth, but I had a load of bark in my mouth, and I'm like, oh my God, it's just bark. But then the blood was poured out, and I'm like, oh my God, I've split my lip open, and all this, but I was going, oh my God, but it's not, it's still there. Oh, I can still move my arms. Oh, yeah. And then I got up, and I was so dizzy, I mean, completely dazed, but my partner was, he was about half a mile away. And I was going to walk back, but I was literally all over the place. I'd literally given myself such a knock, and my chest was hurting. So something's not quite right there, but that's another story. But as I was trying to walk back, I was thinking, I heard a little voice. You don't have to do it on your own. You don't have to. So this is harvesting the good. This was me on a continual basis for, I actually need help here. And luckily I've come running with my partner. He's at the car. Look at me. I've got my phone. Rather than thinking, oh my God, I've fallen. Oh my God, I've split my lip. Oh my God, look at the state of me. I've got blood everywhere. All I kept thinking was, oh my God, thank God, thank goodness, thank goodness, thank goodness. One after the other.
Right.
All the positive things. And then when I got back to the home, I went into shock, because I'd actually given myself, quite a big bang. And do you know what I felt like? I felt like, so last time when I'd broken my back, and that was the last time I went into shock. So I knew that I'd hurt myself. And, but when I calmed down, then I just thought, I feel like I've been beaten up. And I thought, oh yeah, because that's exactly what I've been doing to myself for 2 years previously. I'd been beating myself up, and I suddenly realized, oh my goodness, thoughts hurt. Thoughts hurt. I'd asked for the universe to come through and clear me. It did. I just felt like a rush of energy come through, and it was like all the bad thoughts that I'd had were popping out on my face, on my chest, on my arm, on my ribs. And I was just like, I never want to think a bad thought again. I mean, literally, I'm almost in panic mode of just like, oh, no, not even going there. Not even for a second, because thoughts hurt and thoughts heal. It's just, we don't notice them. If we thought every bad thought and felt it in our body, we wouldn't do it for a long time, would we?
Right.
But we beat ourselves up for a long time, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
So that's harvesting the good.
Mm-hmm.
I could have sat there and moaned and cried and
Right.
whinged and whatever, but I just thought, I am so lucky. Thank you. And it taught me a few lessons as well. Yes, watch out for the roots of the trees.
Yeah, find the good in every situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
You must have looked back on your situations in your life, Kristi, where, like when my first marriage went south, obviously at the time, that was a complete that floored me more than anything in my whole life, because I was brought up Catholic. I don't even want to go into the story because it just makes me laugh now. But I was able to get a degree out of that, because here's the thing about energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. And even at that age, which was 27 years ago, that I'd actually recognized that the negative energy was eating me up, and I had a son to look after.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't have this, but I couldn't get rid of the energy. So what I did was I just went, right, I'm going to make myself so flippin' successful. Like, that's it. That's my revenge. And so I got a degree in computer science. I became a programmer. I didn't even want to do it, but I had so much, I was only female who did it. And I just had such tunnel vision to use that energy, put it into something good.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I'd got it, I went, oh, thanks a lot, mate. That was the best thing you ever did to me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So we've all looked back, don't we?
I think we can all look back and say, that we are a product of the good and the bad. Because had the bad not happened, or had certain scenarios not happened, we wouldn't be in certain areas. But unfortunately, sometimes those things don't manifest or don't show themselves until you're down the road in a different spot. And then you're like, wow, I'm so glad that happened, even though at the time it was awful. But I'm so glad that happened, because if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I am.
But you see, that's the trick now, is that you can actually take yourself there sooner, because in a year's time you're going to look back. Why would you wait a year to look back and laugh at yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So
it's just like when you can start to go, what it is. Harvest the good. This is for my good. I don't know what it is now, but I know this has to be for my good. So I'm going to accept it. Because the fighting of it, you see, that causes the upset in our body. And then that's the bit where to learn to forgive isn't the person or the thing or the circumstance. It's actually setting yourself free, because not forgiving somebody else and holding them accountable for you feeling miserable holds you in pain.
Right.
And it is about just, what? Fine. I mean, I understand the forgiveness bit may take a time, but when you continually do it and you start to practice this, then it's just like, oh, I don't want to be holding on to that. So bye. Do what you want. I don't care.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things too that I had gotten from one of the important things that I learned from Jack Canfield, another person, that he taught me that you're responsible for your own actions. Because a lot of time people go outside of them. Well, it's his fault, or it's her fault, or it's the situation's fault, or it's that person. And take responsibility for what happens, or how you feel, or I'm sad because he did this, or I'm sad because she did that. And
that is, there's 4 levels of manifestation. Yeah, there's 4 levels of manifestation. And that's the first one, where you live life as a victim.
Yeah.
So you think that life is happening to you. The next stage would then be, and we all fall into that, we forget, I mean, you actually stop blaming the outside world, and then you just start to blame yourself inside. So you just switched it from the outside to the inside, and you've got to stop doing that. That's what I did. I went inside and blamed myself for 2 years, totally blamed myself for everything. And so then the next stage then is, life happens by me. So that's the manifestation, and, where people become manifestors and use their will. But that's exhausting. Kristi, by the time you get to 50, you just go, there has to be an easier way. That's exhausting. I'm using my will externally. That's, when you talked about, laws, like the law of cause and effect, we're the cause, everything outside us is an effect. So if we're working in effects, we're working in past. Think of it. It's funny, isn't it? Why don't we go to our imagination and think, well, I want something new to happen. So and visualize it, and then give the universe time to come up with something. It's pulling all these resources together to give it to you, and it's coming to you, but we get in the way and we go, nope, I need to go and take action, and we do this and this, and we get in the way, and we work too hard and we get in the way. So you do want to take action, but we're more about inspired, joyful, happy action and stuff like that. And then the next one would be where life is life is happening for you, which is what I'm saying about, like looking for the good. It's for me. Life is for me. Like, that's a wonderful way to think, instead of life is against you. If you think life is for you, then wow, everybody you meet is like, yeah, I wonder what's going to happen here, because how am I going to serve them, or are they going to serve me? This is so exciting. Then the next one is literally life happens as you, and that's when you really embody, just that peaceful place. And you're not going to stay there all the time, or you can do. It's, that even Michael Beckwith will say, you go up and down. Bob will say that, where he goes now and again into victim mode. And it's just like, but then you go, oh, hang on a minute, back up, get back up. So yeah, we talked about before, wasn't it? It is what it is. Harvest the good, forgive the rest. But the last bit I would put in is focus then on what you want. How do I want to feel? Do I want to feel upset and angry, or do I want to feel joy and peace?
So, okay. So then you have, and then you have those three things. And then I'm sure people are like, okay, but I want my life to change. I want these things to happen, but I still need to make money. I still need to have I hate my job, but I still need to, I need to have my job. And I can't just quit it so that I can go and be this person. What do you tell that person?
Well, you can't get your solution when you're in the middle of the problem, because you're just in the middle of the problem. And I meditate now 3 times a day. You can call it meditation, you can call it quiet time, you can just call it stop time. It's just to stop and start to relax your brain, because while you're in thinking mode, you're in left brain, which is beta, and which means your brain is chirping and it's going really fast. And it's just, the left brain is actually only evidence of what you've already done. Now, when the Wright brothers were building a plane, they couldn't come from left brain, could they? They needed to come from the right brain, more creative. And even Einstein said that imagination is more powerful than knowledge. We've got to imagine what we want, but we need to get into right brain alpha, slow the brain down, use meditation music, use guided meditation, use soulful meditation. It doesn't really matter, but just slow down and then start to think, well, what do I want? Because maybe you don't even know what you want. Now, here's the thing. Most people don't know what they want. That's the problem. And you're going, I'll have this, I'll have that, I'll have this, I'll have that, I'll have this. And the universe is going, well, I'm giving you everything. But, then you just don't want it. And then you do want it. And then you don't want it. And so it really is slowing down and using your imagination. I mean, that is the first step. So if the bills weren't paid yesterday, well, they're not being paid today. It is what it is. I've been there, Kristi, where you're scared of the letters coming in the door. I mean, it just seems so laughable now, but I know our viewers are there experiencing that, where you just go, oh my God, I'm afraid of the door. I'm afraid of the postman ringing the bell in case there's actually someone to come and get me. So I've been there, but the only way out of it was for me to do this work, was to quieten myself and start to really focus on what I wanted. And then I start to hear the steps that will take me there. You've got to write down your goals. It's like a shopping list.
Right.
Write them down every day and go, this is where I'm going. But don't have so many. Have one just to get you out of maybe where you are now. If you can't think of the big thing, then just have one that gets you out of where you are now. And ask for help, and ask those questions like, how can it get better than this? How can it get better than this? When you just start to ask good questions, you need to slow down and allow the answers to come. Being busy before has got you where you are now. So let's do the illogical. Remember, we started this conversation about being logical or illogical. Do the illogical, and slowing down when you've got bills to pay is illogical. But right. I promise you, I have achieved more by stopping thinking and slowing down and relaxing more than I ever did working hard.
Oh.
So that is the first thing. But you've got to have a goal. Otherwise, you're like on a football pitch. Like, if there was no goals, what's the point?
Right.
Right. They're running around in circles. So you're not even the footballer. You're probably the football. So you're being actually in victim mode, because life's happening to you, because you're just getting kicked around by your job, kicked around by the bills. The master is you inside. You're the master of everything, but we're serving the outside master, aren't we? We're serving, money becomes our master. Now, here's the thing, you cannot be in control of the things that are controlling you. So is money controlling you? Is your job controlling you? And I don't mean on a physical, worldly sense. I mean in your mind. When you're quiet at home by yourself, are you having conversations going, God, I haven't got any money. 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 Well, then money's your master and you will be serving him for the rest of your days. This is the hardest work. So I would actually recommend for your readers to read The Science of Getting Rich, and read chapters 4, 14, and 7 in that order, and
14.
read them for the next 90 days.
Bob Proctor?
Bob Proctor. It's not Bob Proctor's book, it's Wallace D. Waddles, but actually whenever Bob did The Science of Getting Rich, that's the homework he gave us all for the next 90 days. 4, 14, and 7 in that order.
So for the next 90 days to read those 3 chapters every day.
Yes.
Well,
and you watch your life change around in the next 90 days.
I'm on it. I am on it. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And so kind of to sum this all up, then, I mean, really my final question was going to be, what can our listeners do now, today, to get on that, to start moving forward, to start changing their thoughts and their mind? And
I answered your question.
So there we have it, folks. That's what you need to do. And I think that is key, and it is important. And the other thing too, which I'm going to be doing in the next interview, is the power of your mind and your thoughts, and how much that it takes over what the outcomes are in your life too. So yeah, I want to thank you so much. Thank you very much for sharing this time with me and with everybody here listening to us or watching us. And I really, truly, truly appreciate you being here and doing this. And
if anybody's stuck, I do 20-minute free consultations. So, and we can unstick you. This is what, if Bob says, if you're coaching somebody for more than 15 minutes, you're having a social. He said, you should be able to flip them around in 5 minutes. And to be honest, that's what we do. So just to have that call, and, so you can find me on Facebook, or you can just Google me. I'm the only Sheena Cantar, so you can just Google me, find me on Facebook. You'll actually see Bob Proctor's interview with me in relation to the work that, the interviews that you're going to be doing soon as well. And, but yeah, just message me and say, I just, could I book that call? And I bet I can flip you around very quickly.
So you just heard my interview with Sheena Cantar, high performance mindset mentor, and one of the people who worked behind the scenes on the movie How Thoughts Become Things. Now, I am really pleased to introduce to all of you the creator and producer of the movie, Douglas Vermeeren. Douglas Vermeeren is considered one of the top leaders in personal development and achievement psychology. He's considered by many to be the modern-day Napoleon Hill for his extensive research into the lives and psychology of more than 400 of the world's top achievers. He's the creator of Learn to Sell or Die, which helps you unlock sales tools and strategies for today's marketplace. He's also the author of 3 books in the Guerrilla Marketing series. He's the creator of the personal development films, The Opus, The Gratitude Experiment, and The Treasure Map. He is regularly featured as the achievement expert on Fox Business, CNN, ABC, NBC, CTV, CBC, and others. He has quite the resume, don't you think? And so today he is going to share with my listeners his philosophy of thoughts actually becoming things, and his idea of how to truly become successful in your business and career. So let's check it out.
How is everything?
Busy as can be. It's awesome, but so much going on right now. It's exciting, but managing it all can sometimes be a bit of a juggling act.
Yes, absolutely. I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine. But I was just watching your the video that you had on Facebook, and that's very
Wonderful.
very
Yeah, lots of really cool things. The thing that a lot of people aren't seeing behind the scenes is, in addition to kind of even my regular life as usual with family and all these kinds of things, and my regular programs that I do for my existing students, now we have on top of that all of the media interviews that we're doing in regards to the movie. But I've also got my publisher has approached me. They want to have the book for the movie come out, and also one of my own books come out at the same time. So it's it's trying to figure everything out.
And can you do that in 6 minutes a day?
Well, you know what's interesting, and that's kind of the book that they want to talk about, and I don't know if that's kind of what you want to chat about in this interview, but the 6-minute workday is actually really fascinating. A lot of people, I think, struggle because they think that things take a lot of time to do. So there's really 3 stages kind of on how to get to a 6-minute workday. Obviously, the most time consuming is what we call creation at the beginning, where we're, building kind of the transactions, the products, the things that we want to share, the things that we want to sell, the business that we want to create, etc. But once that's done, you'd be really surprised how easy it is to shift to the next 2 levels, which is really how to maintain, and then lastly, how to kind of really, the way that I call it is expand. And a lot of that can be done because the thing that most people are asking, I think, when they're building a business, they're asking what I call the selfish questions. And you can always tell a selfish question because it includes I, right? So it says, what can I do? How can I do this? How can I get this going, and blah, blah, blah. And so there's a kind of selfish questions. But as I went out and I interviewed the world's top achievers, the questions they ask always involve you, and they generally start with who. So they're not what or how, they're who can I get to do this? Who can I get to support me? Who can I get to, create this and make this easier or systematize this? And any kind of a what question always asks with a you. So what can you do differently? So that's the question I'm interviewing my people, right? So yeah, it's a big shift, but as soon as you get that going, you'll find that I think that's a big problem that a lot of people have when it comes to not just creating money, but creating any kind of success, is they generally, I think, take on too much themselves and don't recognize the importance of having a good team. I'm
definitely guilty of that, and those few things that you just said right there are very enlightening and eye-opening for me. To be honest, I'm 100% control freak, and therefore, but however, I do find that then it makes it really, really difficult. But the more I'm seeing just in these past few days, the more I am realizing that it's impossible for all of you who have such success to be doing this by yourself.
Correct? Yeah. Well, it's definitely true. And there's an old saying that I think is just really powerful to live by. It says, if you're a cog in the wheel, you're a clog in the wheel. And so one of the biggest things that I think people need to learn how to do is, now maybe to give this some context, as you remember, I went out and I interviewed 400 of the world's top achievers. And a lot of people kind of look at this idea of success and a lot of the gurus that are out there. And the truth is most of the people who are out there teaching as either business or life coaches have never, ever actually gone out and done the extensive interviews that I've done. In fact, generally what I notice is they're either teaching someone else's book that they read, they loved, so they've added a few other ideas, and that's their program. Or maybe they've seen a film like The Secret, and then tomorrow they put themselves out as a law of attraction coach. Or maybe they saw Tony Robbins and they get really excited, add a few of their own ideas and stories, and they're teaching Tony's stuff. Well, the real benefit that I have for my interviews with the 400 top achievers is I'm not teaching anyone else's stuff. And the other thing that I think is really important to point out, and again, I'm not criticizing anyone in the marketplace by saying this, but a lot of the things that are being taught out there are not correct. And a lot of the things that they teach are incomplete because they've never experienced that success. They don't really know what to share. So for example, just one of the things that I think is really holding a lot of people back is this idea that a lot of gurus repeat, that you need to step outside of your comfort zone. to become successful. And that's actually not true at all. In fact, out of interviewing 400 of the world's top achievers, you start to see some common markers. You see some things that are the same. And one of the biggest things that I notice that I try to do as well, and we teach in the 6-minute workday too, is that I don't want you to step out of your comfort zone. I want you to step into your brilliance zone. Only the things that you're really good at and only the things that you cannot be replaced with are the things you should be doing. So if there's other things that are uncomfortable for you, get rid of them as quickly as you can. You need to learn how to become a master delegator and a master systematizer and a master automator so that things that do not require you need to go elsewhere, even if they're not done perfectly. And I kind of love, there's a quote that Steve Jobs is well known for saying, but this is the other thing too, is a lot of people nod their head and say, that's a good quote, but then they don't do anything with it, right? So here's this quote, please do something with it. It's, we don't hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. So one of the things that we need to be on the lookout always, like if you want to be highly successful, if you want to be highly wealthy, whatever it is, you fill in the blank what your definition of success looks like. The key is to hire people smarter than you and let them basically do it for you. Right? There's no way, like even with a movie like How Thoughts Become Things, this is a great example. I love movies. And there were certain things that I'm really good at, and I have a vision of what I want it to be, but I hired an editor. I hire a movie editor, someone who really knows what they're doing to bring my vision to life. Like if I'm trying to do that, for example, on iMovie or, now there's even editing on your phone or whatever, you're trying to do those things by yourself, it's going to look like, how do we say this kindly? It's going to look like crap. Right? And it's the same thing. When you go to an event and you meet people who've made their own business cards at home, or someone who's built their own website, or they've done all their own stuff and they haven't got someone professional involved, what they've done is they've immediately built an obstacle for their success. They think they're saving money, but what they've really done is they've eliminated the possibility to be considered by high-level achievers as someone who's competent. Like no one ever goes into a room and says, like, who are the losers I can do business with? No, we want the best, right? Right? Like no one's ever said that. Like, I'm looking for a loser. Where can I save some money? Where's someone that thinks cheap and will give me a cheap job too, right? We don't think that. We want the best that we can possibly buy. And so if you want to succeed, you've got to understand that you need to rise to those higher levels. And one of the courses that I teach really talks about that. What is the thing that's going to change your business, your life, everything? It's you need to level up your network. You'll never do $1 million deal at a $10 breakfast. And so if you're content to play at a low level, I call that a slow level or a no level. This is really, again, if you're looking for ways to do things on the cheap and to do things without, getting other successful people involved, you're always going to be condemned to a very low level of results as well, right? So, yeah. So hopefully that helps, right?
That hits home right there. It really does.
Yeah.
It really does hit home. At least for me, it does.
It takes a leap of faith to do it too, though. Like, let's be honest, it's not an easy thing to say, I'm going to get others to help me, especially when you're wondering where your next paycheck is going to be and you have to pay other people. In fact, it's interesting. I was talking to one of my friends that I have and by the way, I encourage everyone to do this. Get a mentor that's definitely farther along than you. You must have that, right? Like you must have a mentor because they're going to see things you don't. So I've got a mentor that's worth about $800 million. Most of his money was made in real estate, still owns the real estate. In fact, looking out of the window from our office here, that whole lot right there that you can't see, that has a shopping center on it and a strip mall and a big bookstore like a Barnes and Noble, he owns all that property actually outside my window right now. That's some of his. So anyways, I was chatting with him, and I chat with him about every 2 or 3 days. It's important to have regular contact with your mentors too. You've heard that idea of take a millionaire for lunch? Well, one lunch ain't going to do it. You literally need a relationship, right? And so I was chatting with Brian, and I said to him, what do you think about this idea everybody talks about, pay yourself first? Because that's what a lot of entrepreneurs figure. I got to take care of my paycheck. I got to take care of everything that I've got first, and then whatever's left over, if there is left over, then I'll put it to other things or what have you. And he said, pay yourself first. He says, that's the greediest idea I've ever heard. And even those that, maybe can rationalize it, they do it wrong. And then he used this analogy, which I thought was really good. He said, imagine if you're on the Titanic. We've just hit the iceberg. Bam, right? He says, paying yourself first is like you kind of pushing your way past everything that's important in life and getting in the lifeboat and saying, okay, let's go. right? That's paying yourself first. It's the selfish way to do things. He said, if I were to be on the Titanic and it was hit by an iceberg, what's the first thing you'd put on your boat? You put your family, right? Those are people we care about. Then we want to put the people that can certainly take care of our family. So who knows how to like drive this little lifeboat and keep it afloat in the waves? Who knows how to maybe set up a flare so people could find us perhaps? Who knows how to, if we get stuck on a deserted island, who knows how to hunt and fish maybe, right? Or to, all the survival skills you'll need. So he says, this is what pay yourself first really looks like. It means how do you put yourself in the best position so at the next 30-day pay cycle, you're safe. You're better than you were right now. And so what that means to me is I actually, in my business, I pay the people that can put me in a better position. Paying myself first sometimes means to hire someone smarter than me, right? Because he's going to bring more money into the company than I ever will, right? And so we're always on a constant crusade and hunt, if you will, to find people who can do things better than us, the things that we need to know how to do. And I think this is a bit of a challenge for most people. And if there's time, we'll get into this a little bit deeper in the future. But one of the things that I think is the problem for most business owners is they don't even know where their money comes from. Like, what are the transactions that really generate money for you in your company? What is it that you sell that's of most value? Now, the interesting thing is when we know that, in fact, I can maybe even show you on this whiteboard. We could show everybody here. So let's just say it's a transaction. This is you. Isn't that neat? Little happy face? Right?
Yes, perfect.
This is your customer, right? Very happy face there too.
Yeah.
There's only three things that you can sell. Only three things, okay? You can either sell an asset, a service, or information. Those are the only three things you can sell. It doesn't matter what business you're in. An asset, again, that's going to be, something tangible that this person can hold. For example, this water bottle. There's an asset. You can build those and you can sell them until the cows come home. Service, think about McDonald's. You come in, it's fast food. People are going to buy it. Information, we know about that. That's either seminars, books, online programs, whatever. Those are the only things you can sell. And in exchange, your customer is going to give you money. Okay, but here's the thing that's interesting. Most people, like I said, don't know what their key transactions are, but they also don't understand what needs to happen for those transactions to take place. So in other words, for you to deliver the asset, service, or info to this customer, what has to happen? And generally it's divided into three areas. So how are you going to tell these people about it? Like, meaning your marketing and your word of mouth, and how are they going to hear about it? Then how are you going to sell them on it, right? So how's the transaction occur? And lastly, how are you going to service it, right? Like, once they bought it, how are you going to, deliver it to them? How are they going to receive it? How are they going to feel good about it? If they have problems, how are they going to resolve that, etc. And it's not just stuff that goes this way, but there's steps that go this way too. So how are you going to receive this money? How are you going to get paid? Where are you going to put it? How are you going to do the bookkeeping and taxation around? How are you going to monitor that? And here's the problem that most people don't understand is that all of these steps can actually be either systematized, delegated, or automated, right? So if you want your income, if you want to scale your money, if you want to have a 6-minute workday, if you want to get to the next level with passive income, you got to say, okay, this idea of marketing, telling people about us, how do I take that off my plate? How do I find somebody who's really good at that, better than me, than I've ever been, and I get them involved? And certainly you want to hire somebody smarter than you that can get results. Now what your job becomes is not marketing. Your job isn't marketing anymore. It's theirs. Your job is to supervise and to help them maintain it and to adjust it and refine it. So you really become a leader. It's that idea of working in your business, not on your business. Now you've just given something where you used to be doing it. Now you're no longer doing it. You're supervising it. And you do that with everything else. So even sales, right? You got somebody that is out there selling on your behalf. You just need to make sure that they're well trained. They know what they're doing. You send them out the door and you make sure through maintenance and leadership and just kind of keeping them on track that they're doing a good thing. And you do that with everything, right? Like everything, customer service, you do it with the creation of the product, the distribution of it. And then suddenly you'll find that you really don't have a job, but you're still receiving the benefit of the transaction, right? And that's the problem with most entrepreneurs is they really want to keep as many activities to themselves. They feel like they have to hold on to that. And you know what's funny about this is that, sure, I guarantee people won't do this perfect. The people that you bring in and you delegate to, they won't do it exactly like you want. But would you rather, like, just as an idea, like today, for example, with our income streams that I've set up in the same way. I think today so far, in fact, I can find out just on our Stripe. I can't tell you what the direct deposit in my bank account is unless I look that up. But our Stripe rate now, we are at $8,759 US. That's just come in since looks like 9 a.m. this morning. So $8,500. I haven't been involved, right? And I guarantee some of the people who are working for me have probably not done it 100% correctly. But you know what? The world is not falling apart. It's still pretty good. Like I've gotten a couple texts with a couple questions here and there, but most of them have been answered by other people that I put in the system to delegate it. In fact, you might have met Jay, you might have met Andrew, you might have met Kim, some of my people. Most of the time they answer all the questions. I don't really have to get involved, but I am aware. It comes to my phone, right? So I am aware, but I generally don't have to respond. So this is what we're trying to create, is that 6-minute workday where you don't have to be involved. The only thing in fact, what I did this morning, I don't even think I worked 6 minutes today. It's a Saturday. Let's keep it easy, right? Today, my day, let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 texts that I've sent. Most of them are about a paragraph long. So that's been my day so far, right? Yeah.
That is lovely. No, and that is absolutely fantastic. And so obviously, you know, with the movie, with the everything that's happening now in this world, you know, everyone's like panic mode, all of that stuff. And so tell me a little bit about, okay, so thoughts become things, you know.
They do.
I watched the movie, I saw it, and I can't wait to do the workbook. But for those out there, those listening, those that are going to be watching this, thoughts, can they really become things?
Absolutely they can. Yeah, let's talk about that. By the way, before I do that, I'm going to grab my eraser here. I've got an eraser that has fallen to the floor. But what I was going to suggest is I've got a free gift if anybody wants to learn more about this money stuff. Just head over to passiveincomeunlimited.com, passiveincomeunlimited.com, and there's a free book there for you. But let's talk a little bit about how thoughts become things for a second. Actually, I might need this. Thoughts become things. Actually, it's really interesting. They do become things, but the reason why many of the things that you know we want in life don't become things is really because of our programming, where we started. Right? A lot of us. And by the way, not just where we started, but what we're also still bringing in is programming, right? Like we're being programmed every second of the day, including right now as people are watching this. And a lot of times our programming do create the limiting beliefs that we have. But I think it's really interesting to look at this. So if we take the title, How Thoughts, the screen's still wet, become things. I apologize. It's still wet. It'll dry. We'll write again. But let's say you can read that. How thoughts become things. The thing that's interesting is many people focus on this side, meaning the thoughts and the things. And they focus a lot on the fear, the doubt, the hesitation, the challenges that they experience, and all these thoughts. They wonder, how can I control my thoughts? How can I be a more positive thinker? How can I, really capture that? And it's really hard to do because we're human. And every time there's a really powerful, inspiring thought that comes along, the thing that most people don't understand is thoughts never come solo. They always come with the negative right away, either with it or right behind it. So there's always that kind of friction that's there between us. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. The other thing that a lot of people spend time thinking about is the things. They say, I want a new car, want a new house, want a new relationship, want new clothes, want this, blah, 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 all the things that they want, right? Now, they think a lot of times here's the deal. With those things, they either feel like they're impossible or they just lust after them, but they don't know the next step. And the truth is the things actually already exist. You're not really creating them or bringing them into existence. In fact, if you want money, I promise you right now at the Mint, they're printing some today, right? So it exists. It's there. You want a Ferrari? They exist, right? You want whatever you want, it exists already. And even if it's something that hasn't been invented yet, the problems or challenges that will spur those thoughts on also exist already. So everything already exists in one form or another. So this really isn't the challenge. These things, your thoughts are always there. The things are always there. What's really missing is this side, the how and the become. You see, so how do you now stabilize your thoughts, How do you, when you have those two that are in frequency, the good one and the bad one fighting each other, how do you find more power with this one to be able to do something, right? How do you gain those feelings of self-worth or self-confidence to take action? How do you really gain that support? Now, one of the things that we talk about in the movie that's really kind of cool, now keep in mind this is just one of the things, I'm a firm believer in what we allow influencing us changes us. So in other words, when I went out as a young man to interview 400 of the world's top achievers, when I was a kid, at 19, I really didn't have the community, the support, the influence, the network to really cause me to believe in myself. And so everything that we bring around us influences us, right? Not just the people, but also the television show, the social media, the radio we listen to, the music we have, everything. And I love what Marie Diamond said in the film, that our surroundings are literally a three-dimensional vision board, right? And I found that for me, as soon as I changed the people, let's just talk about the people, and I started seeking out higher levels of connection, hanging out with a higher level of thinker changed the way I thought and what I believed was possible. We become like the 5 people we spend the most time with. So I'm going to suggest that that's the first thing that you need to do, is you need to look at how can you spend time in a community that's going to be more supportive. Now, having said that, I want to also put a caveat here. Remember I said there's some things that the top achiever or the gurus of today teach that are not correct. So here's another one that's not correct. You hear a lot of the gurus today say if you've got toxic people in your life, you need to eliminate them. And I do agree that if there's someone that's abusive to you, you do. But the problem is most time people hear that, oh, toxic people, got to eliminate them. So someone says something that you don't agree with, you eliminate them. And that's not right. Or someone says something that makes you feel bad for a moment, you eliminate them. That's not right either. The truth is all the top achievers, the high level people, they actually don't run from problems. They learn how to manage them. So if you have someone in your life that you don't necessarily agree with or see eye to eye with, running from them will shrink you and minimize you. It will make you less than what you are. And so you need to understand that top achievers find ways to expand, and even people who are a problem, they know how to work with them. They find ways to manage them. So you need to expand, and you need to learn how to work with people that sometimes don't see eye to eye with you, or that sometimes make you feel bad. And there's also 2 kinds of people. There's a complainer. That's a person that just complains and they've got no value. That's fine. You don't have to endorse that, but sometimes you do need to sit through it. But the other kind of person is what we call a critic. And a critic, to be honest with you, sometimes has value. Sometimes they say things to you that you need to know that you may not have seen. And I remember as a teenager, I had critics that would tell me things that from their wisdom and their age and so forth, they saw that some of the stupid stuff I was doing as a teenager would injure and harm me. I didn't like to hear it, but I did, right? And the thing about a critic is sometimes they have value, they're just not always a great communicator. So we need to be humble enough to be able to feel, and deflate our ego a bit, and to hear the things that we really need to hear. So just keep that in mind. Anytime that you're feeling jealousy, scarcity, complaining, criticism, anytime you're feeling that, you're operating from a scarcity point of view. And if you're from an abundant point of view, you'll find a way to actually hear things, even if you don't agree. So really, really important. Now, let's just talk about this last word, become. This is the other one that we didn't get to. It's interesting. Jim Rohn said something once that I thought was absolutely incredible. And to be honest with you, if he was alive today, I would have tried my very best to get him into this movie. He said that if you win the lottery, you've got to become a millionaire really fast if you want to keep it. And what I mean by that is there are certain habits that when we really bring them into the essence of who we are, they allow us to not only create success, but to maintain it. So if we're looking at this idea of things, that's what we have, right? Those are the things that we're going to have, right? You want the nice car, you want to have it. You want the nice house, you want the nice relationship, that's great. But working backwards, you've probably seen that in order to have the right things, we've got to do the right things. And you've heard this before, right? We've got to do before we can have. Actions speak louder than words, right? But this idea of become is actually the very beginning, and most people neglect it. We have to be before we can do, before we can have. And so even that idea of actions speak louder than words, let's look at this. Being actually speaks louder than actions. Because sometimes when we do, we can make mistakes, even as people. Sometimes, we may even unintentionally do something wrong, but our motives are in the right place. And those that know us and love us and see where we're going, if they see we are being the right thing, even if we aren't always perfect, they'll forgive it because they know what we're trying to do. Versus You've heard the fake it till you make it. That's totally a lie. And any guru who tells you to fake it till you make it is setting you up for disaster. Because if you are the wrong thing here, if you're being the wrong thing and portraying the wrong thing, when you come at the high levels of, the top achievers that I've networked with, you won't fool those guys. Multi-billionaires who've created multinational companies, if they see someone coming in the door faking it and acting like a bigwig and they're totally a liar, they don't want to help you. If anything, they want to avoid you because now their reputation and their efforts will be tarnished if they even come near you. And I have been sitting with a billionaire a couple times in an event where someone's come on the stage and they said, I'm so-and-so and I'm worth all this money and this is who I am. And he's turned to me right away and said, not true. Definitely not. That person does not carry themselves like a multimillionaire. Millionaires never, by the way, if anybody tells you how much money they have, it's a testimony that they have none. Because here's the deal is true success does not need a promoter, right? And you might want to write that down. True success does not need a promoter. If you really want to know those that are at the high levels and those that are doing it, it's interesting. One of my mentors was Frank McGuire, who's one of the co-founders of Federal Express, former VP of marketing of KFC and American Airlines and so forth. He's now passed away. But the thing that I noticed when I watched him in a room with people is he is actually the most curious person and does the least amount of talking. So he will ask a question and he will listen and he will let everyone else talk. That's what success looks like, right? And so when you see someone in the room that's just flapping their gums too much about all the things that they've done, it's because they're insecure. They don't have the real success that they're talking about, and it's time to listen. And actions, of course, like we said, I always speak more, like if someone's telling you what they have, well, they're at this end and they don't really have it. But if someone's showing you who they are, that's the powerful thing. So I think just that idea of how thoughts become things, we talk a lot about that in the movie. How do you raise your vibrational frequency of who you want to become so that the things that you really want start being attracted into your life easily and in a very flowing way? And maybe just a last thought to kind of leave as we get ready to finish up here is just remember that clarity is key, right? A goal that is specific and clear becomes attainable and near. And so you must know not only in direct proportion the things that you want, but the accompanying and attached idea of what you want to become. Just because you want something doesn't mean it's going to have you feel good in the end. And that feeling of success in the end should be investigated before the thing. I love what Stephen Covey once said. He said, many people climb the ladder of success only to find that it's leaning against the wrong wall. And so we need to discover beforehand, what do we want to become? What's the legacy that we want? And then do the tangible, material things that we want, are they in harmony with who we really want to be? And to be honest with you, sometimes we'll find that we want things sometimes for the wrong reasons, and they're not going to make us happy. And one of the things that's important about this is that you also have to remember that anything that you act on from a position of immediate gratification never brings lasting happiness. You've heard it said that happiness is a choice. Not true. Happiness starts with a choice, but happiness really is making a choice that leads you to consequences you're going to feel good about. That's what happiness is. So we don't make a quick choice. In fact, I spoke at a prison a handful of years ago. There were lots of people there that made choices that in the moment they thought was the right thing for them, but it ultimately contracted them and did not lead to their freedom. In fact, many regrets and sorrows, and in a 10 by 10 cell that you're sharing with one other man and only one toilet between you, and that's it. Your choices do not guarantee success. But when we think carefully about the outcomes of what we're trying to create, the real idea of becoming, that's where happiness can be found. And so if there's anything that we want to leave the listeners with today, it's come and watch the film. You can find it at howthoughtsbecomethings.com right now, and we'll share with you how you can start making better choices to create the things and the outcomes that are going to provide you the most happiness and success in the long term.
And I will be posting it and letting them know. And thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking this time with me and your patience and going through the technical difficulties.
No sweat. It's all easy. We get there.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Anytime. Thank you.
Wonderful day.
See you next time.
If you'd like to learn more about Douglas Vermeeren, you can visit his social media pages on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook. Also, if you're interested in being a part of my discussion group about the movie this coming Monday, July 6th at 7 p.m., you can send me an email at kristi_maggio@yahoo.it, and I'll send you the link. So, I want to thank everybody tonight for tuning in. Remember, you can also find me and the show on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, our YouTube channel, in case you want to see the actual visual interviews and not the radio edit. And so let's start changing our minds to transform our lives. See you next week.